Hello and welcome to Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. I'm your host, Lynn Newman. Today we're speaking with Brian Hanley, who is the Asia Director of the NGO Search for Common Ground. And we're going to talk about football and drama and bringing the two of them together in Indonesia. Brian, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Insight Indonesia. Now we're live. This is live television.
Let's go for
They don't do this anymore in America, where we come from. They don't do live TV in America anymore, and that's why we're here, because it's more fun to be live. Tell us about, Brian, the big project for Search for Common Ground right now is a new TV series that will be debuting later this week or early next week. Tim Bui, prison team. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, it's a concept that we've been working on in a number of countries around the world, where we want to use the metaphor of football to model cooperative behavior. Football is the beautiful game. Everyone loves football, and the world is something that that everyone in the world can agree on. It's our common ground, if you will. Years ago, an intern walked into the office of our president in Washington, D.C. and said, "What are we doing about the World Cup?" This is back in 2006. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the answer at that time was nothing. Hadn't even thought of it. But after that, football enthusiasts across our organization started to sit with the other peace-building specialists in our organization and say, what can we do to utilize football to really reach people with a positive social message? So we started to develop some program ideas, and we started to shop those ideas. And thankfully, lo and behold, the Department for International Development, the UK Aid, has their new rebrand, invested in us quite substantially to take this idea and go and produce television drama series in between 8 and 12 countries around the world.
So all these different countries use football as a kind of way to talk about other issues, tolerance and social cohesion and cooperation, et cetera, right?
Almost all. In Pakistan, we are using cricket, that they
Sure.
have a passion for the game there, and if we can get it going in Sri Lanka, cricket would also be the avenue. Mm-hmm. However, football in all the countries. So now we've taken that initial grant that was so generously given to us by the UK government and have leveraged more than double that amount of resources. And we're now in either pre-production, production, or on air in 17 different countries with the team. So in Indonesia, we decided to do things a little bit differently and link with some of our programming. We do work in Indonesian prisons, and frankly, we needed a hook. There's a lot of football on the market here.
Sure.
And so we decided to go with the prison team. And so what we
have... Tell us how that's set up, because two things that don't immediately come to mind in Indonesia in terms of cooperation are either football or prison.
Right.
These are pretty... a football game here at Jackmania can be a pretty violent experience.
Well, I know that, and that's one of the things we're hoping to work on. You know, there's a lot of football enthusiasts that have become fanatical, and we really want to work with them to learn that, of course, we can express our passion for the game through other means other than violence. And so
you don't have to burn down the stadium.
Exactly. Or kill people if you're in Egypt. So it can be a dangerous game. So in Indonesia, what we have in the prison environment, in our fictional prison, we have two gangs. We have a Javanese gang and a non-Javanese gang, in this case, Batak. So different religions, different ethnicity. And one of the things that we see is because of their differences, they're having a lot of problems. They're fighting with one another. At the same time, there are institutional challenges with corruption and leadership vacuum. And so in our show, Tim Bui, a new prison warden, a new head of the prisons comes in, a very strong and dedicated woman, and she wants to take the prison in a new direction, wants to stop the violence because she thinks, or she sees a connection between the violence that's perpetrated by prison guards as feeding into the violence that is manifest.
Well, this sounds realistic. I mean, if you spend any time working in prisons, these dynamics do play out in prisons. Yeah. Now, we're almost out of time, but quick answer, is this just a Cinetron behind bars?
No, Cinetron, you know, we're trying to elevate Indonesian TV and trying to do something a little bit more powerful. Obviously, it's entertainment first, but there's also a lot of powerful social messages there, educational.
We're going to stop you there.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to talk more about Tim Bui, when it premieres, and who some of the stars are, which we haven't talked about yet. We want to know more about that. You're on Insight Indonesia, brought to you by the Jakarta Globe. I'm your host, Lynn Newman. Today we're talking with Search for Common Ground's Asia Director, Brian Hanley. Stay with us.